Hi guys, welcome back, and hello if you are new. I hope all of you have had a fantastic week and have got a really great weekend planned. So it's hard to believe for me that it's been 4 years since we had Heart Like a Grave from INSOMNIUM, but the band have been anything but dormant. They've released their EP Argent Moon, and now they're going to be releasing their 9th album, Anno 1696. So join me as this week I delve into INSOMNIUM's brand new album. If you're not familiar with INSOMNIUM, they are a band from Finland, and they very much, for me, are the forebearers of melodic death metal, and a lot of their material takes from Finnish inspiration, Finnish sources, you know, the countryside, the Finnish lore, and it's a really great combination that suits the music down to a T. So Anno 1696 is an album which is based on yet another story from Niilo Sevonen, who originally started kind of creating this more original concept kind of story vibe on their 7th album, which was Winter's Gate. However, this time he took inspiration from Finland's dark history between the years of 1696 and 1697. Without kind of giving too much away, the story is about characters which are called Lilian, Juho, and Arvid as well, and you know, kind of the way that these characters kind of intertwine. I don't want to give too much away, but it's very interesting and well written, and it's something, you know, you can read fairly quickly. Musically though, the story is really beautifully illustrated with 8 tracks that really kind of weave an interesting patchwork of atmosphere, but also kind of, I think, quintessential INSOMNIUM material that you would expect from the band. And this sense of storytelling is aided in some way by guest appearances from Sakis Tolis, who is in Rotting Christ on the track White Christ, and also from Johanna Kurkela on Godforsaken, which I think is probably the most cinematic track on this album, and personally my favourite. And it might be a simple trick to bring in, you know, different characters, but for me, I think it's a really kind of easy way to evoke different atmospheres and create that sort of sense of narrative and story. Godforsaken, for me particularly, was the most emotive track on the album, and it really, I think, goes through so many different layers during its 8-minute runtime. It's slower and focuses a little bit more on clean vocals, and after the bridge kind of really gathers this momentum to create something that is very much kind of, I guess, transcendental a little bit, you know, without being too flowery. And another thing I liked about Godforsaken is that there are sort of keys that are a little bit outside of the normal INSOMNIUM vocabulary when it comes to, you know, melodies and things like that, which keeps things interesting because, you know, INSOMNIUM do what they do very well, but I was quite happy to see there was a little bit more experimentation. There's kind of folk elements that are bringing kind of to the surface here as well. Alongside that, there's also choral sections on the Witch Hunter and horns and, you know, kind of things that really make it feel epic on the final track, the Rapids, which again, you know, adds to that sense of the climactic atmosphere that this is the final track, the end of the story. You know, it's just really interesting. I also think they've got the right amount of songs this time. 8 tracks is enough time for you to really delve into the album, but not have it sort of be this daunting thing, which in the past I think sometimes the band have been guilty of, is, you know, kind of adding a little bit too many tracks. Though of course, there is experimentation, but the reason we're here is because of the INSOMNIUM sound, right? Lilian and the Witch Hunter are great examples of that. Lilian in particular has, you know, that sort of classic melodeath kind of stabbing, palm muted, but, you know, with those like little nuggets of melody that just sound so sick. And it's, you know, typical melodeath. And whilst there are a lot of leads on this album, there's hardly any solos. But I think it's kind of like, the fact that less is more. And on Starless Paths, Marcus Van Haller, absolutely nails this solo. And because there isn't that many and it is quite sparse, it really makes that particular one stand out. And weirdly, this album wasn't as immediate for me as Heart Like a Grave, but I think once I sort of started to understand the concept behind it, how it all kind of ties together, that definitely made me appreciate it more. The bottom line is that INSOMNIUM have created an album that weaves lyrical and musical storylines into this really gorgeous and incredibly atmospheric tapestry. And whilst it may not be groundbreaking, there is no one that does melodeath like INSOMNIUM. So I hope you guys enjoyed this album review. Let me know what you think of the video, the album now that it's out. Put that in the comments underneath me. Let me know what you've been enjoying as well. Also, I have to say it because I am a YouTuber. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And otherwise, I will see you next week for another album review. Take care, my friends.